What if I told you that the happiness you've been chasing your whole life is actually the reason you feel so restless and unfulfilled? Happiness is one of the most misunderstood concepts in life. We spend so much time chasing it, building our lives around the idea that once we have enough, achieve enough, or become enough, we will finally feel happy. But happiness is not permanent. It's fleeting, a momentary rush that fades as quickly as it arrives. You might feel it when you reach a goal, when someone praises you, or when life goes exactly how you imagined it. But how long does that feeling last? A day? A week? And what happens when the high disappears? You're left searching for the next hit, the next win, the next reason to feel good. This endless cycle of chasing happiness is why so many people feel empty even when they seem to have it all. The problem with happiness is that it's tied to external circumstances. When things are going well, you feel happy. When things fall apart, that happiness slips away, leaving you scrambling to piece it back together. But peace is different. Peace doesn't depend on what's happening around you, it comes from within. Peace is steady, consistent. It's not a fleeting emotion, it's a state of being. You can experience peace even when life is chaotic. You can remain calm even when things don't go your way. Happiness is like the weather, changing, unpredictable, and constantly shifting. Peace is like the sky, unchanging and steady, no matter what storms pass through. People often confuse happiness with fulfillment, but they are not the same. Happiness is the thrill you feel after a big win, but fulfillment comes from knowing that you are living with purpose, that your life has depth and meaning. Happiness is getting the promotion. Peace is knowing that even if you don't get it, you are enough. Happiness is the excitement of falling in love. Peace is the quiet confidence that you are whole, even if the relationship ends. Happiness is tied to results. Peace is tied to presence. When you focus solely on happiness, you create an internal fragility. You become dependent on things you can't control. Other people's opinions, outcomes, circumstances. But peace gives you strength because it's rooted in acceptance rather than control. Think about the happiest moments of your life, a celebration, a personal win, an achievement. Now think about what followed. How long did that feeling last before you started wondering, what's next? That's the trap of happiness. It's temporary. You climb one mountain only to find another one waiting. And when things don't work out the way you hoped, you feel like you've failed. But peace is different. Peace allows you to appreciate the highs without fearing the lows. Peace creates a foundation where you can enjoy success without becoming addicted to it, and face setbacks without losing your sense of self. We are conditioned to chase happiness because society presents it as the ultimate goal. Advertisements promise that you'll be happy once you have the right car, the right clothes, the right lifestyle. Social media reinforces the idea that happiness is tied to success, beauty, and status. But if happiness were really about those things, why are so many people who seem to have it all still miserable? It's because happiness, built on external validation, will always crumble under pressure. Peace, however, is not given to you by the world, so it can't be taken away by the world. When you shift your focus from happiness to peace, you stop looking for quick fixes and start building something solid within yourself. Peace doesn't mean that you won't feel pain or disappointment. It means that those feelings won't control you. You can experience sadness without falling apart. You can face rejection without questioning your worth. Peace gives you the strength to stand firm when life shakes you, because you are no longer relying on external conditions to feel whole. Happiness asks, how can I get more? Peace asks, how can I be enough? Happiness needs something to fuel it: success, recognition, validation. Peace needs nothing except your willingness to accept the present moment as it is. The reason peace lasts while happiness fades is because peace is not an outcome, it's a mindset. You don't need to achieve it, you need to uncover it. It's already there, beneath the noise of expectations and the pressure to be more, have more, and do more. Peace comes when you realize that you don't need to chase anything to be whole. It comes when you let go of the need to control every outcome and start trusting yourself to handle whatever comes your way. Happiness will always be a visitor, but peace can be your home. The pursuit of happiness is one of the most common sources of anxiety. It sounds strange at first. After all, isn't happiness supposed to bring relief, joy, and contentment? But the reality is that chasing happiness often creates more pressure than peace. When you believe that happiness is the ultimate goal, every moment becomes a test. Every setback feels like a failure, and every success feels like a temporary win that you must immediately protect or surpass. The moment you start believing that happiness is something you need to chase, you also start living in fear of losing it. That's where the anxiety begins, the constant worry about whether you are doing enough, achieving enough, or becoming enough to finally feel happy. The idea that happiness is something you can achieve sets you up for disappointment. Life isn't a straight line, it's unpredictable. Yet we are conditioned to believe that happiness is a reward for doing everything right. So when life throws you a curveball, you don't just feel the sting of the setback, you also feel like you've failed at being happy. You start to wonder what you're doing wrong, why other people seem to have it figured out while you're still struggling. The more you try to chase happiness, the more it feels out of reach. That's because happiness, by its nature, is not something you can hold on to. It's not a permanent state, it's a fleeting emotion. And when you make fleeting emotions the foundation of your life, you build a life that constantly feels unstable. Anxiety creeps in because the pursuit of happiness creates a mindset of not enough. If happiness is always tied to the next goal, the next milestone, the next validation, then you're never allowed to rest. There's always another level to reach, another accomplishment to secure, and when you do finally reach the goal you set for yourself, the satisfaction is brief. You might feel a rush of pride or relief, but soon after, the mind starts searching for the next thing. This cycle of seeking, achieving, and then feeling empty is why so many people with outward success still feel unfulfilled. It's not that they lack happiness, it's that they are stuck in the belief that happiness is something they need to keep earning. The pursuit of happiness often leads to comparison, which deepens anxiety even more. When you measure happiness through external markers, wealth, status, relationships, you inevitably start looking at how others measure up. You see someone else's life on social media, their seemingly perfect job, relationship, or lifestyle, and you start questioning your own choices. Why don't you feel as happy as they seem to be? Why does their life look so effortless while you feel like you're struggling to keep up? The truth is that most people are presenting a carefully curated version of their lives. But when you are chasing happiness, you don't see that. You see the gap between where you are and where you think you should be. And that gap creates anxiety. Another layer of anxiety comes from the belief that happiness requires constant maintenance. Even when things are going well, you might find yourself wondering how long it will last. The fear of losing happiness becomes just as stressful as the effort it takes to achieve it. You become guarded, cautious, always trying to hold on to that feeling before it slips away. But the problem is that happiness is not designed to last indefinitely. It's a temporary emotional state, not a permanent condition. When you try to force happiness to stay, you create resistance. You start to overthink, to cling, to control. And that's when the anxiety sets in. This is why happiness often feels so fragile. It's built on external factors, achievements, relationship symptoms that are beyond your control. When things go well, you feel a sense of relief. But underneath that is the nagging fear that it could all disappear. And when things don't go well, you feel like you've lost more than just the outcome. You feel like you've lost happiness itself. The mind starts racing, searching for ways to fix the problem, to get back to the state of happiness you once felt. That endless loop of seeking and fixing creates tension and stress. You start measuring your worth based on how happy you feel at any given moment, and when happiness fades, as it inevitably does, you feel like you've failed. The pursuit of happiness creates anxiety because it's rooted in the illusion that you need to control everything to feel good. But life is unpredictable. You can't control outcome. You can't control other people's actions. And you certainly can't control how long happiness lasts. But you can control how you respond. You can shift your focus from trying to create happiness to cultivating peace. Peace is not dependent on circumstances. It's a state of acceptance. When you stop trying to chase happiness and instead seek inner steadiness, the anxiety begins to fade. You no longer need life to unfold perfectly to feel whole. You no longer need to win to feel worthy. Peace allows you to experience life's highs without becoming addicted to them, and endure life's lows without being defined by them. Happiness is a moment. Peace is a foundation. Peace is not something you achieve, it's something you allow. We are conditioned to believe that peace comes at the end of accomplishment, that once we've checked off enough boxes, climbed high enough, or gained enough recognition, we will finally feel at ease. But peace isn't the reward for a perfect life. It's not waiting for you at the top of some imaginary mountain. It's already available to you right here, right now, if you can shift your focus from achieving to accepting. The problem with tying peace to achievement is that it creates a never-ending cycle of striving. You tell yourself, once I get that promotion, I'll finally be able to relax. Or once I'm in the right relationship, I'll feel complete. But even when those goals are met, the feeling is temporary. The mind quickly moves to the next thing. The job that once felt like a dream starts to feel routine. The relationship that once brought excitement now brings challenges. And so the mind goes searching again, believing that peace lies in the next achievement, the next milestone. But it never truly arrived, because peace was never in those external things to begin with. Acceptance, not achievement, is the doorway to peace. Acceptance means allowing life to be as it is, without needing to control or change it. It doesn't mean giving up or being complacent. It means recognizing that not everything is within your control, and that's okay. When you accept reality as it is, you release the resistance that creates so much tension and stress. You stop fighting life, and instead you learn to flow with it. You stop needing things to be perfect to feel whole. It's easy to think that peace will come once life looks a certain way. But peace isn't about what's happening around you. It's about how you respond to it. Two people can experience the same difficult situation. One might spiral into frustration and anger, while the other remains calm and grounded. The difference isn't the situation itself, it's the inner state. The person who remains calm isn't necessarily stronger or more capable. They've simply learned to accept what they cannot control. They've learned that peace isn't about fixing life. It's about trusting themselves to handle whatever comes. Achievement creates pressure. Acceptance creates freedom. When you measure your peace based on accomplishment, you place yourself under constant pressure to perform. If your peace depends on external success, then failure becomes terrifying. You start avoiding risks, playing it safe, trying to protect the fragile sense of peace you've built through your achievements. But when peace comes from acceptance, failure loses its power over you. You realize that even when things don't go as planned, you can still be okay. Even when you stumble, you can still be steady. That's because your peace isn't tied to outcomes. It's rooted in the confidence that you can face whatever life brings. The pursuit of achievement often breeds perfectionism, which destroys peace. Perfectionism convinces you that you're only as good as your last success. It tells you that rest is weakness, that slowing down means falling behind, so you push harder, strive more, trying to outrun the fear of failure. But perfectionism is a trap. No matter how much you achieve, it will never feel like enough. There will always be someone doing more, achieving faster, climbing higher, and even if you do reach the top, you'll be left wondering, what now? The peace you thought you'd find will slip away the moment you realize there's nothing left to chase. Acceptance breaks that cycle. When you stop tying your worth to achievement, you free yourself from the pressure to be perfect. You start showing up for life as you are, not as you think you need to be. You stop seeing setbacks as proof that you've failed and start seeing them as part of the process. You give yourself permission to rest, to breathe, to exist without needing to constantly prove your value. And that's when peace starts to emerge, not from fixing everything, but from allowing yourself to be enough, even when things are imperfect. There's a quiet strength in acceptance. It's the ability to sit with discomfort without running from it, to face uncertainty without panicking, to let go of the need to control every outcome and trust that you will find your way even when the path isn't clear. That strength doesn't come from achievements, it comes from within. When you stop chasing peace and start allowing it, you realize it was never missing. It was buried beneath the noise of trying to be enough, to do enough, to achieve enough. Peace comes when you finally let go of that noise and accept that you are already whole. Acceptance creates space. It allows you to breathe, to think clearly, to feel grounded, even when life feels chaotic. It helps you distinguish between what matters and what doesn't. It helps you stop wasting energy on things you can't change and start focusing on the things you can. When you accept life as it is, you stop being controlled by it. You stop being reactive, emotional, and fragile. You become steady, centered, and unshakable. Peace isn't found in fixing life, it's found in facing life, exactly as it is, without running from it. Happiness is fragile because it's tied to circumstances. When life is good, you feel good. When things go wrong, that feeling slips away. This is the problem with relying on external happiness. It's not stable, it's not consistent, and it's certainly not within your control. Peace, on the other hand, is self-created. It doesn't depend on things going perfectly or life unfolding according to plan. Peace is a state of mind that remains steady regardless of what's happening around you. Think about how quickly happiness can shift. You wake up feeling energized because the sun is shining, but then you check your phone and see an email about a problem at work. Instantly the happiness is gone, replaced by stress and frustration. Or maybe you get a compliment that makes you feel confident and valued, until someone else criticizes you and suddenly you're doubting yourself again. That's the nature of happiness. It's reactionary. It depends on people treating you well, plans working out, and life cooperating with your expectations. And since life rarely unfolds exactly as you want, happiness becomes a fleeting, unstable thing. It comes and goes, leaving you constantly chasing the next hit. Peace is different because it's not dependent on external factors. It's something you cultivate from within. You can't control what happens to you, but you can control how you respond. You can't stop people from criticizing you or plans from falling apart, but you can decide not to let those things dictate your inner state. Peace comes from knowing that your worth isn't tied to other people's opinions. It comes from trusting that even when things go wrong, you are capable of handling it. Peace isn't about shielding yourself from discomfort. It's about being steady enough to face discomfort without being shaken. When you chase happiness, you give control over your emotional state to things you can't control. You give power to other people, to outcomes, to situations. But when you focus on peace, you take that power back. You stop letting circumstances dictate how you feel. You stop giving other people the authority to define your mood or your worth. You stop being reactive to life's ups and downs, and instead you become anchored in yourself. The storms still come, but you're no longer getting tossed around by the waves. You learn to stand calmly in the middle of them, knowing that your peace isn't tied to the weather, it's tied to the foundation you've built within. It's easy to confuse happiness with peace, because happiness feels good, and there's nothing wrong with wanting to feel good. But the problem is when you rely on feeling good to feel stable. Happiness is fragile because it's based on gain and loss. You feel happy when you succeed, but what happens when you fail? You feel happy when you're loved, but what happens when someone leaves? That's why happiness alone isn't enough, because it's built on shifting ground. Peace is different because it doesn't depend on outcomes. You can have peace even when things are hard, even when you feel uncertain, even when life isn't going the way you'd hope. Peace comes from knowing that you'll be okay even when things aren't okay. Creating peace requires letting go of attachment to outcomes. It's not about becoming indifferent or detached. It's about realizing that your inner state doesn't have to rise and fall with the events of your life. When you realize this, you stop needing things to be perfect. You stop chasing validation, success, and comfort as if they're the key to feeling whole. You start to recognize that peace isn't something you find, it's something you create. And you create it by accepting life as it is, not as you wish it would be. Imagine facing a difficult moment. Maybe you lose a job, or a relationship ends, or you face a personal setback. If your happiness depends on circumstances, you'll feel devastated, lost, and unstable. But if you've built peace from within, you'll feel the pain, but you won't be consumed by it. You'll understand that while you can't control the loss, you can control your response. You can choose to trust yourself to rebuild, to learn, to grow. That's the strength of peace. It gives you resilience. It allows you to feel the weight of difficult moments without collapsing under them. Happiness depends on things going well. Peace depends on you being well. Happiness depends on life treating you kindly. Happiness comes and goes. Peace stays. When you start prioritizing peace over happiness, you shift from feeling like life is happening to you to realizing that you have the power to shape your inner world. You stop reacting to life and start responding to it with clarity and strength. You stop needing things to work out perfectly because you know that even when they don't, you are still whole. Peace makes you untouchable, not because you don't feel pain or face challenges, but because those things no longer have the power to control you. Fulfillment isn't about having more. It's about feeling whole with what you already have. The search for happiness often misleads you into thinking that fulfillment comes from gaining something. More success, more money, more admiration. But the truth is, fulfillment doesn't come from adding things to your life. It comes from finding peace within yourself. When you have peace, you stop searching for completeness in external things. You stop believing that you'll feel better once you reach a certain goal or once someone validates you. Peace allows you to feel whole even when life is imperfect, and that creates a foundation for lasting fulfillment. Think about how exhausting it is to constantly chase happiness. You set a goal, work hard for it, and feel a rush of satisfaction when you achieve it. But then what happens? The feeling fades. You start looking for the next goal, the next achievement, the next source of happiness. It's like running on a treadmill. You're working hard, but you're not getting anywhere. Happiness comes and goes because it's tied to external outcomes. Fulfillment, on the other hand, is deeper. It's not about what you have or what you accomplish. It's about how you feel within yourself. And peace is what allows you to feel whole, even when things aren't perfect. Peace gives you the ability to sit with yourself without needing distractions or validation. It allows you to feel calm even when life is chaotic. That calm creates space for fulfillment because it frees you from the constant craving for more. When you're at peace, you're no longer living in a state of lack. You stop feeling like you're missing something or like you need to fix something about yourself to feel whole. You realize that fulfillment isn't about reaching a specific destination. It's about being grounded enough to appreciate where you already are. There's a reason why so many people who seem to have everything still feel empty. They have success, status, and admiration, but they lack peace. Without peace, nothing feels like enough. You achieve a goal, but instead of feeling satisfied, you immediately start chasing the next one. You receive praise, but instead of feeling secure, you start worrying about whether you'll be able to maintain that approval. Fulfillment feels out of reach because you're searching for it in the wrong place. It's not out there, it's inside you, and peace is the key that unlocks it. When you stop chasing happiness and focus on cultivating peace, your relationship with life changes. You stop measuring your worth by how much you accomplish or how others perceive you. You stop needing everything to go perfectly in order to feel stable. Peace gives you a sense of inner security that isn't tied to outcomes. You can succeed without becoming consumed by your success. You can fail without feeling like you're worthless. That inner steadiness creates fulfillment because you no longer feel like you're on shaky ground. You know that no matter what happens, you'll be okay. That's the kind of security that no amount of money or success can provide. Fulfillment also comes from being present. When you're chasing happiness, you're always focused on the future, on the next goal, the next achievement, the next milestone. Peace brings you back to the present. It allows you to fully experience the moment without needing it to be anything other than what it is. When you stop needing life to be perfect, you start noticing the simple things: the warmth of the sun on your skin, the sound of laughter, the feeling of connection with someone you care about. Those small moments, which are so easily overlooked when you're chasing something bigger, become sources of deep fulfillment when you're at peace. Peace allows you to experience life more deeply because you're no longer running from discomfort or clinging to fleeting highs. You become more resilient because you're not trying to escape difficult emotions. You're allowing them to exist without letting them define you. That resilience creates fulfillment because you stop fearing life's ups and downs. You stop feeling like you need to protect yourself from pain or chase after pleasure. You learn to face life as it is, with strength and clarity. That's what makes fulfillment lasting. It's not based on what's happening around you. It's grounded in who you've become within. The most powerful thing about peace is that it gives you the freedom to live authentically. When you're not chasing happiness or fearing failure, you can make decisions based on what truly matters to you. You stop compromising yourself to fit in or gain approval. You stop making choices out of fear or desperation. Peace gives you the clarity to live in alignment with your values and to trust yourself, even when things are uncertain. That sense of alignment, that feeling of being true to yourself, is what creates real fulfillment. It's not about having more. It's about being at peace with what you already have and who you already are. Stop chasing happiness, find peace within yourself, and you'll discover that fulfillment was never something to find, it was something to uncover.